update of this evidence of stream online on this channel in United Kingdom on the day of International Day of Women's Day is my first-hand evidence of the truth of the facts on record. Since an offer by Captia Business Services Limited is a head office in London who has a contract offer to assess disabled people of the offer from previous disability living allowance to a disability benefit known as personal independence, short PIP. This is the point-by-point evidence of dates, what happened, and their failure in all duty of care, and the extreme evidence of the unlawful harm and leading to Department of Works and Pensions head office, Clacton House, in conjunction with this area office up in Wolverhampton, to block my DLA completely and leave me at risk without any additional income. And here I am today to quote the factual evidence. A former social worker had called, and that individual first information is Evie. I have email evidence or documentations and diary evidence in front of me of last year's diary of the dates and when I had all past year claimed to be an offer in statute law, the Care Act assessment in Care Act 2014 is known as the framework in care needs assessment that has never been lawful in line with the duty of care that disabled people have a lawful right, despite if you have private friends trying to help you or your family or friends to care for you, you have a lawful right, and the process has not been followed to date. I am unlawfully, I repeat, I am unlawfully targeted by civil servants to date, constantly blocking me to access what I require to have equality of life in United Kingdom. So this former public servant, in her job role, I won't say what department at the moment, on a Friday of 31st of August 2018, and this is while I'm going through bereavement of the loss of my mum on July 2018. There was no care or consideration of the effects of the trauma onto the bereavement of my late mum on top. I've since found out within the statute law regulations, Person Independent Statute Law 2013, there should have been the lawful reasonable adjustments backed up with my medical evidence already sent. I do meet the criteria for paper-based medical. And the Captia Business Services Limited self-employed individual assessor failed to identify that I meet that criteria to offer that, instead of an offer for face-to-face medical, especially when the clause in statute law says if the individual finds, with medical evidence to back up this, extreme overwhelming psychological, and it will put the individual at extreme extra risk of harm and effect onto their medical condition worse. They failed to do that. So, on the Friday the 31st of the 8th 2018, with an independent other witness from a care advocate individual female witness that called too. It's a noisy place where it happened, And that individual, or the call centre for Captia Business Services Limited, had confirmed verbally, and their calls are recorded too, that I would be given the disability reasonable adjustments, and they were. I didn't know about the offer paper assessment based on my other disabilities, medical conditions. I've since found that out. On that day, the requirements were to record my PIP medical, my private home, my private dwelling, that I would be offered an after 1 o'clock in the afternoon appointment. I will have full disclosure of who the individual and a female would be, and the offer of the former social worker was going to offer to sit in my private home of that PIP medical. Then after that, that social worker was going to offer what was claimed at the time, and I've since found out was not needed, but at the time it was known as, it still is in statute law, as occupation therapy assessment in my home, and to assist me. And then I was also offered the assistance of that care act advocate individual to assist me. But the advocate service does not help with anything to do with disability benefits, anything at all anymore. That's been a while. And she made that clear. So on that Friday, the offer, the particular details was noted down by that particular social worker and on record, and I heard that and I made a note of. And of course, there's so much has been going on through the process, trying to take everything in, you can imagine. But anyway, that was confirmed. I would be offered a letter with a date, and that would tally in with what I was offered by that social worker. It didn't happen. Next point. So basically, when I'd got a letter, I was absolutely disgusted and shocked that none of what was agreed on that date was offered. Instead, Captia Business Services Limited individuals, whoever had inputted on the computer, offered an appointment to go 30 miles away to Coventry, Northamptonshire, United Kingdom, of a Thursday, the 6th of September 2018 at 4:55 p.m. in the afternoon. In all the years I've been wheelchair dependent and housebound, I've never been able to travel anywhere outside, like perhaps at the post office on a good day, and that's about it, and that's literally 10 minutes away, let alone to Coventry. I found out they've been doing this to other people since. So obviously, unfortunately, on that day, well, before that date, on the 5th, then, well, it was actually the day before the 5th, I had a head injury, and I ended up in the local primary care NHS hospital. I had a former friend, a church friend. He was a member of a local church, and he had a friend who was experiencing welfare benefits for his church members, and he turned out to be an accountant. He offered to assist me on this matter, so that first, before I had the head injury, the texts and the conversations was that he would assist me in making calls when a social worker may not be available to assist me on this matter. So from my sick bed in the A&E and have concussion, I texted him extremely concerned about this letter. He said, "Don't worry, leave it with me. I will contact the Captia call centre individuals to cancel that appointment." He should have made it clear what I'd informed him, what was originally agreed on Friday the 31st of the 8th, 2018. I don't know if he did that, but anyway, I got a text to say, "Don't worry, that appointment's cancelled to Coventry." by the way, be aware, is an IT company, Captia Business Services Limited. So everything's recorded. Next point. It was never agreed, as I just said, that I'll agree to go outside of my home. It's already agreed what was required within statutory law, disability reasonable adjustments, Equality Act, and disability. This is disability discrimination just throughout every piece of experience all this past year to date. I just said I ended up in a hospital, and I just said who this guy called Clive had, what he did, and I also informed my next of kin sister at the time, and she'd informed the social worker I was in hospital. That social worker had not contacted me to see if I was alright, which is very concerning at the time. Next point. Don't forget, Captia Business Services Limited has they're contracted with public funds, and they're being wasted and doing this to so many other people, not just I. But this is my first-hand evidence. The next point. The claim due that I would be re-offered another appointment, and again, don't forget the original offer was in my home. I've got this evidence in diaries, and I've got the evidence in former emails I found today. So this is how reality is unlawfully treating vulnerable disabled people in the United Kingdom, and I had the first-hand evidence of my experience. So the point that Capita Business Services Limited IT produced computerised letter again sent another appointment, and this time they ignored the original offer and disability reasonable adjustments. I'll go back to original date, Friday 31st of the 8th 2018. Instead, they only gone and offered an appointment in a building about, say, 10 minutes journey, but I am not able to travel in any vehicle in my wheelchair and the nature of my disability. So you can imagine, during all the periods of June, July, all the evidence that was sent, physical disabilities, how it affects your daily life, your other disabilities, was all sent with everything to show the extent of the high personal care needs. So, we're dealing with individuals on a computer at a call centre. You're not dealing with what it used to be known in the old disability living allowance in-house service. It used to be much more straightforward than it is all this time now. So therefore, when I'd had an offer of a care act advocate in conjunction with that social worker for a date of the 20th of the 9th 2018, I'd asked her to make a call to Capita Business Services. Now don't forget, she's my appointee as well as my social worker. She was making all the calls and arrangements for because my private friends, she knew full well, couldn't help me with extra things I need like this. So therefore, that day, she put our phone on our speaker, and it was a male voice on the call centre, Capita. And he admitted this. My medical records have not been scanned at all into the computer system. That is why nobody have considered the original offer of disability reasonable adjustments to put on their computer system my claim case form on their computer system that I have these extra high care needs and what is required, and their process in statute law what is meant to be offered. I repeat, it's statute law, the Personal Independence Allowance Regulations 2013. If anyone wants to investigate and look at that, the easy read version is better. If you can watch videos about it, it might even be better. I was horrifically shocked, extreme alarmed by that. And so I required that social worker, with the support of the Care Act advocate, to call my medical practice GP to see when they sent that DS-1500 form document medical evidence off. It was confirmed that it was already sent off, and confusing me by a date of the 4th of the 8th, 2018. I found that was a Sunday. I didn't thought our business was open on a Sunday. They could have easily got that date wrong. I don't believe it was from the NHS England funded medical practice individuals that did that. I believe it was Captia individuals, as the history already proven to be that way. On that day of the 20th of the 9th, 2019, in the afternoon, it was again confirmed, apologies, this time I will be sent an appointment, and it will be originally going back to that Friday. It's a joke, this is just really, it's just not a joke, of the 31st of the 8th, 2019. 18 last year. And it would be an afternoon appointment, and it'd be a female assessor. And yes, I've got my 2 independent cassette tapes to record my medical, 1 tape for the individual assessor and 1 for me. Unfortunately, as I said, a letter came for the 24th of the 9th, 2018, to go to a building of their premises, which was impossible, and the time was 11:55 a.m. By the time my personal care needs are cared for and I'm safely transferred my medical equipment and cared for, I'm not even able, for years this has been like this, by the way, to go and do anything, let alone outside my home, till after a certain time. I'm in the middle of getting care at that time, and very complex and personal care. So therefore, that social worker had already explained all this before to Capita Business Services Limited individuals, and they are not medically trained, and they can't interpret your medical evidence. So my experience of fact is they deliberately do fail disable people's rights to access the person dependence payment system. So therefore, again, I would be re-offered another appointment again. This time it would be a home visit, and yes, it would be in the afternoon. My goodness, mate. Next point. But unfortunately, that did not happen again. This is the 5th time. This is the 5th, I repeat, this is the 5th time Capita Business Services Limited, a United Kingdom company, employees at the call centre in Darlington, head office North, I think it's North UK, had only gone and offer all over again a morning offer of appointment for a date dated Thursday, 25th of October 2018. You can imagine how I felt. How horrendous. This was extremely traumatizing. So I'd only just got an email 2 days before that same social worker was to leave her job. By the 31st of the 10th, 2018, I had no longer an official social worker to assist me on anything else. She was in the middle of assessing me for care needs assessment, and I did not have any. Once that care social worker would pull out that means of funding for the Care Act advocate would pull out, and I was on my own. So I was left on my own to try and draft up a letter to counterclaim back to the the head office of DWP, Department of Works and Pensions in London, the Clacton House head office, an official complaint. A copy went to the Wolverhampton area office, who handles the personal independence claims, as well as a copy to the PO box number of Captia Business Service Limited call centre. You don't have an individual like a CEO or head of department there. It's a blinking call centre. They never responded, by the way. Found an email, and that email on the letters, my friend emailed as official complaint, and to remind them what was originally offered to me. I never got a response to date. So I was again sent additional medical evidence, and this is a very private medical report on, well, both physical and psychological disabilities. It's very, very private. It cost me about £10 to post and get all that copied, and special delivery in time, and it was dated originally on the 17th of the 10th 2018, soon as I had that letter offer, and it got sent back rejected on the evidence of fact what was originally offered. I never had a response. By the 20 on that week I was meant to be offered OT assessment. I had an email and I said, well, if I don't have a care advocate present and I don't have a social worker, well, how am I meant to cope with strangers on my own in my home of an occupational therapy assessment? Could you kindly reinstate a new social worker or offer urgently or stand-in, and also a care advocate, and then re-offer that assessment for the occupation therapy in conjunction with the care advocate, care needs assessment. They didn't get back to me on that. Again, my friend had to do the email, and they were fuming, they were struggling. They saw me having, unfortunately, the effects of my death of my mum. I'd contacted my medical practice to see what they could do. You just get through an admin, you don't get through to GP these days, and they couldn't make any calls for me. I was on my own. My friends were busy working, and all they could cope with strategies how to keep calm with the extreme distress they put me under. Then no response, and so I didn't know what was going on. I presumed it would take another week or so, and I'll get the offer for an afternoon visit by Capita Business Service Limited individual, and by that time I might just get a new offer, a social worker reinstated offer, to complete my care needs assessment. It didn't happen. Instead, by the 25th, a Thursday morning, I was asleep. There was workmen outside on a cherry digger work thing machine outside my bedroom window. At about 9ish, I got woken up rudely by the noise, and I'm bedbound. I'm disabled. I can't walk. I can only use a certain side of my body. That's how high amount of care needs I got with the medical equipment, and my carers weren't due yet. So I was on my own, and all I heard was females' high heels walking outside my bedroom window on the pathway in the communal area. Next thing, I hear the buzzer go off in my flat. It's off, but I can faintly still hear it. I didn't think it was anything to do with me, so I obviously fell back to sleep and hope that I was still waiting for a letter by Capita to do the lawful offer of a hit medical correctly this time. I had a major shock to find out by about 11 o'clock that morning. The phone goes off, and it's my social worker at the time. She wasn't able to offer me the appointment to see me, but yet she was contacted by Captia Business Services Limited individual on call centre to say that as an assessor outside my home. Was that to cause me a mental breakdown? Was that to cause me extreme, like a heart attack or stroke? I already had these before, a risk to my health, and I'm bedbound. What the hell was I meant to do? I have specific needs, that means the extra calls and paperwork I need help with. So I wasn't able to call them myself, text them or anything. And it's all on record as evidence, both with everybody I deal with, let alone with this Capita Business Services Limited individuals. All these weeks and dates I just quoted. So that social worker explained that I am bedbound. I found the email and what she said and who she spoke to. She spoke to a woman called Sonia, calling herself in a job role as a nurse assessor. She claimed, I got an email that day, it was the email date, as I said, was Thursday 25th of the 9th 2018. The time of the email was 12:15 p.m. And this is what was stated by the social worker to that individual female called Sonia. We're aware of that so my social worker called me, who I'm known by, and that I am bedbound, and that I was originally to be offered all that time ago, and I repeat that date, Friday the 31st of the 8th 2018, afternoon PIP assessment with present of that social worker when I'm decent in my wheelchair. So this is what the social worker on the 25th of the 10th 2018 stated to Sonia to correct their records on my PIP claim computerised records. And why did they send somebody, this is my social worker saying this, when my social worker put down the evidence of fact, what was originally to be offered and what's been going on ever since. That Sonia, the nurse assessor, said there's nothing they can do because the appointment's already sent and the assessor's already turned up. And what they automatically have done is referred my case to Capita Business Services Limited as this: failed to attend a PIP medical. I was absolutely in shock, to put it mildly. I did not fail to attend anything. I could not even get to my communal flat door, let alone walk. Did they expect me to fly? Or does pigs still fly? Yeah? Being a bit sarcastic here. So therefore, again, in that email, my social worker was advised to call back in a week's time, and don't forget that very week that social worker is going to leave her job in the public services, adult health social care, and if she couldn't get through to anybody, I'll be left with no support. No, I didn't know what was going to happen. My private life friends took 4 days, took it in time, one to sleep on the floor next to my bed, makeshift bed, one on the settee to watch over my safety. The effect of trauma of the death of my mum still, and this on top, how on earth can they live with knowing extreme trauma? It's just like your number on the computer system. I thank goodness for my private friends who helped me since and still trying to let me. I must have a strong personality. Then that social worker was informed by that Sonia female employee at Capita Business Services Limited in the United Kingdom that she'll put some notes on their computer systems and then on my notes, which is for this claim. The reason why I was not able to get to the door I don't know what else the social worker said, because since then I haven't had much of a communication, because nobody's been replaced of a new social worker. And I've been trying to find out ever since, 3 months delay on. Anyway, back to the point in hand. Then I had another email, and it was saying that on the date of the 31st of October 2018, on the day, it was at 5:20 in the afternoon, that very day that social worker was leaving a job that day. She said she called up and spoke to a different female at the call centre, Captia Business Services Limited, and a female called Maria. I've got an email to confirm this, claiming that when the social worker called Evie had called and spoke to her, they said their computer, get this, Captia Business Services Limited is an international company, part of Captia PLC, who are specialists in internet and computerized software program company. So why did they turn around and say to my social worker on Wednesday, the 31st of the 10th, 2018, that, oh, we can't get into my personal independence claim records, computerized records, because their computer systems are all down. That was what was said, and I've got an email confirming that by my social worker. And my social worker was told to call back the next day. My social worker left her job that very day. She couldn't call back. So I was left not knowing what on earth was going on. I didn't even get response to my letter. So I had to find a good day with my private female friends to help me by hand with additional medical evidence to date everything what I've just said in a letter, again, to also to highlight the breach of Department of Works and Pensions Head Office Clacton House, their own national charter, and how to offer additional help for vulnerable disabled people. They breached that via the Capita Business Services Limited employees on their terms and conditions of the contract they have to handle these PIP medicals assessments. Since I found out, those 2 letters, by the way, were sent a date of 13th of the 11th, 2018, to find out why I suddenly had a letter to say my claim is disallowed, why I was told that my disability living allowance is going to be stopped as well. That letter was dated the 5th of the 11th, 2018. Since then I've had no income of the DLA, and like anybody going through situations similar, it's put my health and life at risk in many ways. I can't afford to top up my meter, charge my electrical equipment the way I need, and it's like anybody, you have to judge what you can eat and what's important. And I've informed the head of adult health social care in the adult health safeguarding side as well, and my GP, to inform them that I'm being put at risk, not by me or my friends to me, but by this situation. And I've had no response. So therefore, I can't fully rebutted what was claimed by Capita Business Services Limited. I failed to attend a PIP medical, and the evidence, again, as I said, we sent by special delivery, was delivered in time, and still for 3 months, and this is how they treat people, for 3 months I had no response until recently. A letter come through, it was computer generated, it wasn't signed, they didn't review, it's called a review of their decision to stop my DLA, by the way. despite the evidence of first-hand knowledge and medical evidence, you name it, they had it. Conditionally sent under us, by the way. They still did not scan those documents or evidence. They still didn't act upon anything, despite what was witnessed and agreed going back the 31st of the 8th, 2018. And this is deliberately to stop disabled people claiming their right to disability benefits to aid equality of life in 2019 now. This is horrendous, unlawful, and basically, if you don't know about human rights violations, that comes into mind too. So therefore, this letter, and I haven't had the help to respond to it. The contents, they got the date wrong of that original letter was the 5th of the 11th, 2018, while they put down it was the 27th of November last year. And they didn't put the full statement of reasons why they still rejected me. The offer of a PIP. So it doesn't matter all those 100-odd pages you fill in the original PIP 1 form, PIP 2, and all that extra medical evidence and all your expense of ink and print or paperwork and costs and your energy and all that effort for months and months and months goes nowhere. Oh, unless you know the right people and you've got people that work within the company, perhaps. Maybe, who knows? But from my experience, first-hand knowledge, they have been unlawfully negligent, and it's called maladministration. I have no clue at the moment what remedy may be offered. I have contacted a couple of lawyers, and there's no evidence that they may even bother to get back to me, because obviously with Ministry of Justice Limited, they want people to go through the horrendous treatment or process of tribunal, you know, appeal tribunal, all over again, starting all over again. It's designed to wear people down. And it's a bigger picture, not just about me. This is, I presume, it's happening just as bad to other vulnerable people, let alone people in hospitals, those that are unfortunately dying as well with so ill health. And I'm speaking up. My new channel's not been set up yet, but when it does, watch out. I will be honourable, I'll be lawful, but I'll be quoting contract law. I'll be sharing my evidence of knowledge, what I know in contract law. And I swear to goodness, this weekend, that CEO of Captia Business Services Limited, head office in London, will be getting a counterclaim for damages. But it's known as, I can't go into that subject right now because of the cloudy subject I want talking about today. But I will, once I get the health stable, hopefully by the end of the weekend, tomorrow afternoon hopefully, I will launch the subject of who I am known by national media for my former life and the victim of attempted murder from 2002. I won't use what happened to me because it's horrendous, but I use the situation, why I'm in my situation and how I got run over in 2009 and how I had to fight ever since 2010 to get my rights for every damn thing. And if I can help anybody else for free, with knowledge only though, online, that's my intention with a new channel. I will not ever consent to this unlawful abuse and harm, alarm, distress that I am going through still, and yet alone others that don't know what to do to save lives. If any little bit of information may help save another individual's life. And then obviously we still have this other subject of what they're doing all this statutory law system, how it's working to decriminalise our God-given rights if others also are disabled, and your loved ones with children. Perhaps I can't speak about how families are affected, because I know working people can claim this PIP benefit, but I'm just going my own first-hand experience. So that letter content was absolutely full of flaws. And how can they call that a review response when Department of Work and Pensions, that is now, individual automatic response by the, they have so many different postal locations, you don't know who you're dealing with. So one, again, will be going to head office CEO, and one be going to the, you don't know who you're dealing with, so it's worth doing research to find out who is an office manager. Anybody could be, unless you got an individual public servant, civil servant information. People might say, well, why don't you go to your member of parliament? Well, if they're Conservative, what's the chance you're going to get a remedy that way? So they'll still be copied into an email because there's a paper trail, but it be by email. And then the Capita, I'm going to find the CEO email, which I found where you can find that out. But that individual will be contacted about this abuse. And then obviously, as I said, the Department of Works and Pensions, already an email's gone off to the CEO in my area for delaying the offer to complete the care at statutory duty of care needs assessment, stating the fact I'm in this position. So it's a numbers game, really. You're just on a computer screen. The medical evidence doesn't get scanned. Their computer software I found out they're using, and what software they're using and what codes they're using, they do not use, especially in my situation anyway. So I am not political. I used to be years ago, but not anymore. I'm just trying to get the little bit I may be offered, but it's not happened. So I do have the evidence of times, dates, facts, emails, evidence, because when it goes, and I most probably will in statute law, to tribunal, again the Division of Ministry of Justice, again there isn't independent support or help, and there isn't since July last year, 2018, my local so-called welfare rights, they've lost their contract for, it used to be known as, I can't remember the words now, the funding contract to help people on these cases in using the statute law, and to take it perhaps to High Court or judicial review in the statutory system. They've lost the contract, so they would not even offer home visit. Now, even I found the emails since 10th of October 2018, because I was contacting individuals representing meant to be citizens advice, and they also refusing to offer home visit. Now, what the hell are you meant to do if you're bedbound, you're ill, you can't get out and about, and you haven't got your friends and family members to assist you? There's assumption being made that one does have family, friends. I found within the statutory Person Independence Regulations 2013, there is clauses where if you suffered a bereavement as well, of course that's going to affect your mental health as well. They have a duty of care that Captia Business Services Limited, assessor, the individuals that handle your claim cases, to look at that medical evidence to offer a paper medical assessment based on paperwork, based on your medical evidence and your PIP form 1 and 2. They should have done that all along. So I've got them on that. I've got the evidence, and that's why I've just made the stream today. And don't let this put you off, though, by my experience. And it's designed to put you off and to drag you down to their incompetent level of negligence. I will raise and get better, stable, to get the energy to fight this. Lawfully and honourably, because I have the evidence. So when it does go to their military justice tribunal system, I will not be intimidated by not any man or woman just because they think they are better in their suits, in their position of tribunal. I may not have the full insight of how my disabilities affect me daily because I need the extra help I need, but I do have the determination to take it all the way through. They will put me, deliberately put, it's so important to keep a journal, and good job I still have my last year's diary of dates, which I check, go back and check from emails and clarify it with the dates of appointments and who I sent or assistance of emails to, and that's what I'm using and made notes from. So this is all first-hand knowledge of fact, not just hearsay. It is fact, and the fact also is that Captia Business Service Limited, look it up on business, on, you can check their company information out on Companies House, you know, who the company is, what their accounts are, their contract roughly with Department of Works and Pensions. You can do the research if you're able to. I have a PR media. I used to be a researcher and member of NUJ, a member of journalism years ago from a past life. So I have a little bit of skills in journalism and research. Just because I ended up having this serious crime onto my life, that's why I have these effects of the trauma, and the physical disabilities is a result of injuries since I got one over, and that's why I'm wheelchair dependent with the high medical needs and support I have now. So I'm going to end this stream now to get up and to rest. But if this strikes a chord, kindly share, make people aware that they're not alone with this. It is designed, unfortunately, the system like what I shall be facing as well soon, like a lot of people right now in United Kingdom, England and Wales. I do not know how it works in other parts of the country, United Kingdom, of the universal credit, because there's good people out there getting information, sharing their knowledge. And my big thanks to everybody that does able to do more than I. Because of your knowledge and skills, I learn as well from. And I think it's all up to ordinary members of the public now, isn't it? Because how can we rely on United Kingdom statutory services, what they're meant to do, when there is cutbacks in services and waiting lists on any, if there is any still support services available, they cannot offer home visits for those severely unwell. And I do offer anything I need, i.e. medical wise, they always offer home visits. And that's been over a year now, deterioration of my physical health. So I have all this evidence, first-hand knowledge. It is not hearsay. And I just now to get my friend to type everything up for me next week and to prepare my file and paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork. You can imagine when you're need to work out. I found a really helpful video the other day, how to prepare your file for documentation. And yeah, so they're relying on people to give up. That's what the point is, I believe. So the church former friend no longer has contact for some reason, and yeah, and that was been now 5 months. He's disappeared off the scene for whatever reason, so I don't think it could have been much help, but he did try his best. There's no disrespect there. The former social worker, as I said, she's moved on to a new job, so I do not know now what's happening with that situation anyway. A friend of mine, she did an email to chase things up, and this is now the 6th email she sent since 23rd. And you go back on the channel, you see what happened on that day, 23rd of the 11th, 2018. That was when that new social worker was meant to have called up Department of Works and Pensions to find out what was going on with this situation of this claim, and she failed to do that. And then my care advocate failed to show up. So that added on too. Ever since over Christmas New Year to date, we're now in March. And this is where, in my area, it's all over mainstream media the past year, how the cutbacks to the bone in adult health social care. So when you look at the bigger agenda, conjunction with what I just talked about, adult health social care, housing, NHS, DWP, benefit system, what is the bigger agenda, what's really going on behind the scenes for vulnerable disabled people in the public eye to save public purse? Are we really going back in history to, dare I say it, if you ever looked at the history of the workhouses from years ago, how when people don't have any assets and have these disabilities, are really going to be pushed into expensive care homes where the high, well-known international companies have shares in, dare I say it, the company, well-known one I know of, I won't say the name, but in my area they have, I heard it was about 3 million worth of public funds of contract. And it's nothing about new model of care, nothing about new model of assisted living. Excuse me. It's all about if you have 2 carers and you have high care needs and a lot of medical equipment, they're trying to cut down on the rights of people with disabilities, and that is not lawful. So there is another stream system in place. It's meant to be offered in conjunction when you're going through a care needs assessment. It's known as Better Healthcare Fund. If you don't know about that, you Google or whatever, it's known as NHS England. You're on the website and type in the continuing healthcare, and it's known as a Better Healthcare Fund budget. You're meant to be offered that once if you meet the criteria on medical health, which I do, and the checklist is done, and you're meant to be assessed that way, and that way it's not being tested, not like the public county council services. So I've covered myself on that angle, and I've also inquired on that. The response I get back is, oh, if you've got a social worker, then they're meant to do the checklist. Well, if that social worker, new one, hasn't done anything yet, and I'm still waiting 3 months on, well, when you contact a GP to inform them that it's their duty then to offer that service by a district nurse as well, well, they still don't obviously get back to you either what you're meant to do. I won't be giving up. I'll be just pacing carefully forward, one thing at a time. But be aware how they, Captia Business Service Limited, deliberately, I heard from a neighbour, how long ago? About 3 weeks ago, he was also offered to go to Coventry, Northamptonshire as well. And they're doing this deliberately to imply that if you don't accept the first offer, I mean, this is 5 offers. This is deliberately 5 offers. And if they had checked the medical evidence and scanned the evidence into computer systems, it would have flagged up straight away. that under the protection of vulnerable adults, that is another statutory law, by the way. They have a duty of care to make sure you're not put at added further alarm and distress, and other words I can't even really mention right now. But this is what previous PIP medical assessor said to my social worker. As I said, she was called Sonia, dated, as I said, on the email I got, and that was dated the Thursday 25th of the 10th 2018. And then again this other female called Maria, and they were all based in the call centre of Captia Business Services Limited up in, I think it is called Darlington in the United Kingdom. You're not dealing with any experienced healthcare professional at all. They are not professional healthcare as it states in statute law. They're meant to be qualified to assess disabled people in their specific needs to match up with their disability illnesses. And if they had to use the correct medical evidence and read the facts, they don't always need to read everything, I'm sure, but enough to aid them, to aid the individual that's going through this process. So I don't know, as I said, how it works for elderly or for families of children. I just know from my experience of working age group, because I would have thought if they use the same computer software, Department of Works and Pensions, for example, and you're also on support group of employment and support allowance, all my medical evidence related to what I just described is on there too. So surely they could have easily, and my previous claim, as I said, the medical evidence hasn't changed, and that was on the, as I said, disability living allowance claim. So when it says tick the box if they can access that information, I did agree to that. So why didn't they use that too? And they didn't. So for now, my friend's trying to finish the stew. I need to make sure I eat and sleep, so I got the energy to focus this weekend to what I need to do. Thank you for listening. And if you're in different parts of the world and you don't know what I'm talking about, you can only research this for yourself and see what other people are going through in the United Kingdom. This is what you don't always hear in mainstream media. So I'm just getting this out publicly just from my own experience. And I will get a remedy one day, but it's just going to take a much, much longer. And it is trying times for a lot of people in different ways. So I hope you're not going through too much yourself if you have similar experiences. And no, don't give in. You know, they want us to give in. And they care about the pound sign. These companies are out to make profit. That's all they care about. By their board of directors, their CEOs. And that's my experience in PR media. All these years I've learned. I've had to research before it got worse for my health. And my deterioration of my health started having a heart attack and a stroke back in September 2017 again. And that's why I sought the extra support from the public services, thinking that it wouldn't be such a problem. But unfortunately, my experience is that it is. And I wasn't aware how nationally this is. The cutbacks and services in many areas. God bless, keep safe, and kindly be aware. And you know, if you can't put your face on camera or your voice, just look for information and to see if you can educate and help your friends or family. If you've got people going through similar, it's all about, as I said, members of the public. If you can try. I mean, it's very difficult when people are always struggling themselves to keep a job and a roof over their heads too. And I'm the only one in my situation, by the way, in my area. I stick out like a sore thumb. I have disability hate all the time around me. I'm always targeted by certain individuals living around me. I don't do nothing to nobody around here. They're just singling me out because of the narrative of the mainstream media, what they're portraying disabled people as. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I never, ever, I don't have a television. I never, ever, ever watch anything mainstream ever anymore, because it's just pulling. You don't ask to get one over, you don't ask to get ill, you know. And you hear in mainstream media, like my friends do, watch TV in their own homes and read press and stuff, and they tell me of the horror stories that are still going on and people still losing their lives, not just on this subject as well. Something needs to change. I'm not an expert in what the remedies are, but I just know certain procedures in statute law and contract law. And I will try and get a stable day, as I said, to hold them accountable. God bless, keep safe, thank you for listening. And it's not, I will get a remedy, and you know, it's always like my late mum. I have her DNA in me, and she wouldn't want me to give up. And she's always taught me to treat people the way I'll get treated. I won't be, I'm not a revengeful individual. I do forgive those that do transgress against myself, and I do keep logs. I've always been very good at keeping journals and diaries and dates and things. One thing I've been good at, and I hope one day that I can get stable in my situation, so I can set up a free information to offer free advice for those that are going through similar situations, especially with the changeable times ahead of so many like me. God bless, take care, and thank you for joining. Signing out in UK.